Have you ever walked into someone's home and felt stuck? Like something invisible was pressing on your chest, even though everything looked fine? That's the thing about bad feng shui. It doesn't always scream at you. Sometimes it just sits quietly on the wall, watching, leaking luck, draining the very energy that should be lifting you up. In feng shui, walls are more than just dividers. They're energy carriers. Every picture you hang, every mirror you place, every so-called inspirational quote you tack up, it all speaks to your home's qi. And if you're not careful, that energy can turn stale, blocked, or worse. It can push your money and luck away, like an open window in a storm. This isn't just about decorating. It's about aligning your space with flow, wealth, and clarity. So today, we're going to talk about 5 common feng shui mistakes that happen right on your walls, the things you hang up, thinking they're harmless or even helpful, but they're actually working against you. By the end of this video, you'll know what to take down, what to shift, and how to start attracting better energy with the walls you already have. If you've ever felt like your luck disappears faster than your paycheck, hit the like button and let's uncover the truth behind these quiet energy leaks. Because sometimes, what's stealing your wealth is hanging right in front of you. Carol always believed in little things that protect. A rabbit foot in her glove box, a lucky penny taped to the back of her phone, and a round, shiny mirror hanging right across from her front door. She said it was to bounce bad energy away, something she read in a book from a gift shop in Sedona. But every time I stepped into her house, it felt like the air snapped back at me, like the energy came in and then got pushed out just as fast. The place was pretty, smelled like citrus and wood polish, but something in there made you want to leave quickly. In feng shui, the front door is sacred. It's called the mouth of qi. It's where all good things are supposed to enter. Luck, clarity, opportunity, cash flow. A convex mirror doesn't filter. It repels. It doesn't care if it's bouncing out bad vibes or your next raise. And Carol didn't know this. She thought she was guarding her home. But what she really did was hang a "Do Not Enter" sign right on her energetic front porch. Carol's a retired school counselor. She's kind, soft-spoken, always helping others. But somewhere deep down, she's used to protecting herself first. She grew up in a loud household, where keeping peace meant keeping quiet. So now, even in retirement, she builds boundaries in gentle ways, like wind chimes, soft rugs, and mirrors that reflect things away. But when the protection becomes too strong, it turns into a block. She didn't mean to shut the world out. She just didn't know she'd locked the front door on her own abundance. Imagine you're walking up to a bakery with fresh pies in the window. You're excited. You reach the door, and then bam, the door pushes back like a wind gust. No open sign, no welcome mat. Just this weird, invisible resistance. You'd probably take a step back, and maybe just go somewhere else. That's how qi feels. When it hits a convex mirror at the door, it arrives, then gets pushed away before it even says hello. Carol once told me, every time someone visits, they never stay long. Even my son leaves after 10 minutes. One night, she was at her nail salon, chatting with Kim, the woman who does her nails. Carol mentioned the mirror. Kim blinked and said, "Oh no, no, that's bad feng shui. You bounce away your luck like that." Carol said she froze. Thought about how quiet her house had been lately. Not peaceful quiet, empty quiet. And that's when it hit her. She wasn't protecting her space. She was pushing life out of it. Carol didn't rip it down right away. She sat with it, looked at her reflection for a full minute one morning, then quietly took it off the hook, wrapped it in an old quilt, placed it face down under the guest bed. She lit a small candle at the door that evening, opened the front door for 5 minutes, and whispered, "Only good may enter." She didn't tell anyone she changed it, but her son came over that weekend and stayed for 2 hours, brought cookies, even fixed her screen door. Now the mirror sits under her bed, next to a forgotten box of winter socks. Carol jokes that it's still working, but now it's bouncing bad vibes off the dust bunnies. And every time someone walks in and lingers a little longer, she smiles to herself and thinks, "Well, look at that. Luck finally decided to stay for tea." Derek's hallway had this framed quote in big serif letters: "Hustle until your haters ask if you're hiring." It hung right outside his bedroom. The last thing he saw before bed. The first thing he saw each morning. At first, it felt powerful, like armor, like motivation on the wall. But over time, his apartment started feeling heavy. The hallway dimmed. The vibe tightened. And Derek, a marketing manager who used to bounce into the day, began dragging his feet, like he owed someone something. In Feng Shui, words hold energy. They don't just hang, they echo. Every message you place in your home becomes a silent mantra. You pass by it. You absorb it. You live it, even when you don't mean to. That quote didn't energize Derek. It pushed. It demanded. It turned his home into an office that never closed. He started associating his space, not with rest, but with performance. Not with peace, but with proving himself. And when energy gets stuck in prove mode, wealth doesn't flow. It burns out. Derek's the kind of guy who grew up with make it happen energy. His dad was military. House clean, goals clear, don't whine. He works hard, climbs fast, but deep down, he fears that if he ever stops, everything he's built will fall apart. That quote fed that fear. It looked like motivation, but it was really just one more voice telling him, "You're not enough yet." He didn't realize he was waking up to pressure before his feet even hit the floor. Picture this. You walk into a gym, but instead of music, there's a voice whispering, "Do more, be more, or else." No matter how strong you are, that energy wears you down. Now imagine that voice lives in your hallway, next to your toothbrush, right across from where you put your shoes on. That's what Derek was living in. A home that constantly asked him to compete. Derek told me one night over tacos, "I think my apartment's making me anxious." He didn't mean it as a joke. He meant it literally. Said he saw a TikTok where a girl talked about how your home reflects the energy you think you deserve. He paused, looked down at his drink, and said, "I guess I've been living like I owe someone success." It wasn't a diagnosis. It was a realization. And that was enough. He didn't rip the quote off the wall. He just moved it. took it down one quiet Saturday morning, slid it under his bed. Then he stood there, blank wall in front of him, and said, "Let's see who I am when no one's watching." A week later, he framed a photo his niece drew, a messy, lopsided sun, with the words, "You make everything light." That became his new hallway mantra. Now Derek jokes that his hallway got promoted. Says it finally feels like home, not a TED Talk. He still works hard, still hits deadlines. But now, he doesn't wake up to a quote that sounds like a bossy ex. And sometimes, he even leaves his phone in the kitchen overnight, which, for him, is basically spiritual growth. There's a whole wall in Janelle's living room. That's just faces. Frames of every shape. Smiling kids. Graduation shots. One blurry photo of her ex-husband that somehow never got taken down. It started small, just a holiday pic or two. But over the years, the wall grew like a scrapbook that couldn't stop. She said it made the room feel full of love. But when you sat there long enough, you could feel it. The weight. Like the past was pressing down on the air. In Feng Shui, walls absorb energy. They echo what you place on them. And when you fill an entire surface with memories, even joyful ones, you can anchor your home's energy in the past. There's no space for new stories. No room for forward motion. Just a constant hum of what's already been. Janelle said she couldn't figure out why she felt stuck lately, why she hadn't dated in 5 years, why her new business never really took off. It was like her life was paused, framed, staring back at her. Janelle's a dental hygienist. Divorced, 2 grown daughters. She keeps birthday cards in a shoebox and still pays her bills with stamps. She's someone who holds on to photos, to rituals, to the version of herself that was once part of a complete picture. She's not afraid of change. She just doesn't want to let go of what made her feel grounded. But in trying to keep every memory alive, she boxed herself in. And somewhere along the way, she stopped dreaming new dreams. Imagine trying to redecorate a room, but every inch of the wall is already covered. No space to tape up a paint sample. No room to test anything new. You'd probably give up. Just settle for what's already there. That's what the energy in Janelle's house did. It stopped looking for what's next. Because the walls said, "We're full." One night over FaceTime, Janelle's younger daughter teased her. "Mom, your wall looks like a museum of used to be." She laughed. But later that week, while folding laundry, she caught herself staring at that wall and feeling exhausted. So she called her sister, who told her about a Feng Shui video on YouTube. When a wall becomes memory only, the house forgets how to move forward. That line hit her. She didn't need to erase her past. She just needed to give her present some space. Janelle didn't toss the photos. She made a Sunday project of it. Chose 3 that made her feel light. Her girls on the beach, her mom's wedding photo, and one of herself in her gardening hat, laughing. She kept those up, put the rest in a pretty storage box, and slid it under her bed. Then she hung a piece of abstract art, with warm tones and open space. She said the room felt strange at first, like it was waiting for something. Maybe her. Now when friends come over, they always comment on the new vibe. Janelle grins and says, "Turns out, walls like to breathe too." And the funniest part? She started dating again. Nothing serious yet. But the man brought her tulips and didn't comment on the empty wall. Just said, "Your home feels calm." And Janelle smiled. Because this time, so did she. By the way, if this kind of story speaks to you, feel free to subscribe. We do this every day. Real Feng Shui, real homes, real life. The first thing you noticed in Martha's house was the wall, a massive swirl of black metal. Abstract, sharp, cold. It looked like something from a hotel lobby in Vegas. Impressive? Sure. But cozy? Not even close. She said she got it on clearance. Said it grounded the room. But something about that sculpture made her house feel stiff. Like the energy couldn't relax. Like the air itself was holding its breath. In Feng Shui, metal is strong, slicing, decisive. It can focus energy when used right. But when it dominates a wall, especially in a soft zone like the living room, it creates tension. That sculpture didn't hold chi. It cut it. The swirls pushed energy outward. The sharp lines broke the natural flow. And every time people walked in, they sat on the edge of the couch, looked around, and didn't stay long. Even Martha said it. "I don't know why this house never feels warm." Martha's a divorced attorney in her early 50s. Lives alone. Keeps her coffee table spotless. Keeps her feelings quieter. She likes structure. Likes clarity. And in a life where she always had to be the sharpest person in the room, she never realized she brought that sharpness home with her. That metal piece? It wasn't just decor. It was a shield. A statement. One that said, "Don't get too close." But closeness is exactly what her energy needed. Picture walking into a hotel. One of those upscale ones. Marble floors, metal statues. Everything polished. It's beautiful. But you don't want to take your shoes off. You don't want to sink into the couch. You want to leave your bag, do your thing, and get out. That's what Martha's living room became. A place to pass through, not belong in. Martha told me she once heard a decorator on HGTV say, "Metal art gives a room edge." She laughed and said, "I didn't realize I'd given mine a razor." One afternoon, her friend Elise came over and said, "Your house is gorgeous, but I don't think it knows you live here." That hit her harder than she expected. Later that night, she looked at that sculpture and felt tired. Not of the art, of the effort. She didn't want to throw it out. So she didn't. She moved it, wrapped it in a blanket, and placed it in the garage next to the holiday bins. Then she stood in front of the blank wall for 3 days before finding a simple canvas print. Soft brush strokes, warm tones, a little river cutting through golden trees. When she hung it, she said the room felt like it had finally unclenched its jaw. Now Martha lights a candle in that room every Sunday night. Sits cross-legged on the couch with a book and tea. She says she doesn't miss the metal, just wonders why it took her so long to realize softness wasn't weakness. And once, when a new date came over and said, "This place feels like peace," she didn't even pretend to be surprised. She just smiled and poured him some chamomile. Ray thought it looked cool. A long silver sword mounted above the couch, slightly tilted like it had just been drawn. It was a gift from a buddy. Some medieval replica from a Comic-Con trip. Ray said it gave the room character. But the vibe under that sword? Tense. Sharp. Unsettled. Like something was always about to happen. But never in a good way. He called it art. His dog refused to nap in that room. In Feng Shui, weapons, even decorative ones, carry the energy of conflict. They're symbols of defense, of fight, of survival. When you hang one on your wall, you're telling your space, stay alert, don't relax, be ready. And your chi listens. Instead of flowing, it crouches. Instead of drawing money or luck, it holds tension, like it's waiting for the next battle. Ray said he couldn't figure out why his house never felt restful, why arguments kept popping up for no reason, why his money came in fast and left faster. Now he knows. You can't build peace under a blade. Ray's a mechanic, works long days, loves his truck, talks tough but cries during Pixar movies. He grew up in a rough neighborhood, always on guard, always ready to defend what's his. That sword? It matched a part of him that never stopped looking over his shoulder, even though he didn't need to anymore. It wasn't about decor. It was identity. But it was also a trap, because you can't truly rest in a home that says, fight. Imagine trying to sleep with a fire alarm light blinking above your bed. It's not loud, but it never lets you forget that something could go wrong any second. That's what that sword did to Ray's energy. It whispered, "Don't get comfortable." And guess what? He didn't. Ray didn't read books about Feng Shui. He heard about this one from a YouTube guy who fixes up tiny homes. The guy said, "Whatever's on your wall becomes part of your nervous system." Ray paused the video, looked up at his sword, and felt tired. He told me later, "I thought it made me feel strong, but maybe I'm just tired of fighting." That was the shift. The sword didn't get trashed. It got honored. Ray took it down, wrapped it in a military-style blanket, and placed it in a trunk with some old photos. Then he painted the wall behind the couch, hung a framed print of a winding forest path. No straight lines, no sharp edges, just green and quiet. And that night, he slept all the way through. For the first time in weeks. Now Ray calls that room his truce zone, plays jazz in there, sometimes even does puzzles. The dog? He's back on the couch, snoring. And Ray? He's still tough. Still cusses in traffic. Still loves a good steak. But he hasn't picked up that sword once. Not even to dust it. Funny thing about walls. We think they just hold things up. Paint, pictures, shelves. But really, they hold the mood of the whole house. What we hang on them tells the space what matters, what to echo, what to hold on to, what to push away. And sometimes, the smallest shift, removing one mirror, taking down one sharp object, clearing just one wall, is enough to change everything. Because when your walls soften, your life starts to move again. Sometimes it's not what we buy, but what we hang that holds our energy hostage. A mirror, a quote, a clock that hasn't ticked in years. The things we place on our walls can shape the way money flows, how we rest, how we feel when we wake up, and who we let ourselves become. And the truth is, most of us don't even realize we're living inside the story we accidentally nailed to the drywall. But the beautiful thing about Feng Shui is that it doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be clear. Take one wall, shift one object, and let the energy tell you the rest. If this video stirred something in you, go ahead and like it. It helps tell the algorithm that this kind of content matters. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. We post new videos every day. Real homes, real energy, with real fixes that don't require incense or drama. Drop a comment below and let me know. What's the one thing on your wall you've been meaning to take down, but haven't? And if you want to take this deeper, watch this video next. 5 Feng Shui bedroom mistakes that drive in your energy and peace. I promise it'll make you look at your headboard very differently. Your space speaks. Wisdom listens.